Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well and having an amazing summer so far. I was debating between what video to upload next as I had a few in the works, but I just got back from a trip to Okinawa with one of my best friends and it was so fun and I was so excited to relive it through editing this video that I ended up finishing this first. It's a bit longer than my usual videos, but I vlogged for 4 days and tried to compress it into about 20 minutes, so I hope you enjoy. We had so much fun and it was absolutely gorgeous and I can't wait for you to all see it. We flew 3 hours from Tokyo to an island in Okinawa called Ishigaki or Ishigaki Island. Ishigaki is famous for its gorgeous beaches and nature and is the main island of the Yaeyama Islands. We arrived around 5 p.m. and took a bus to check into our hotel. We were able to rent bicycles for free, so we headed out on a quick ride around the neighborhood in search of a little snack before dinner time. We ended up at a cafe called Puff Puff, and even from the outside it was so pretty. The interior was calm and nicely decorated, and it seems that they also do wedding parties here sometimes as well. It was quite hot, but we decided to sit outside on the terrace because the view was absolutely gorgeous, and since it was shaded, it wasn't too bad. All of the food and drinks looked really good, but we didn't want to get too full, so we each got a refreshing smoothie. There are a lot of nice cafes in Tokyo, but we could never have this type of view with the sea and sky right in front of us. After our little cafe break, we visited a beach near a hotel called Maesato Beach. It's connected to the ANA Intercontinental Ishigaki Resort, and it seemed quite popular with families, and I honestly wanted to go on the water attraction since there was like a floating water park with slides. It seemed really fun. At the city center, which is near the southern part of the island, we had dinner at this very local restaurant called Iwa, run by an old couple, and I loved how cozy it was. There were a lot of signs on the wall from famous people, and we saw some from many decades ago, so it seemed like this had been a very popular shop from long ago. We were starving and ordered the soba, which is a famous local dish of Okinawa with pork ribs on top of noodles. It was really filling and really delicious. We walked around for a bit around the city and decided to get some snacks at the Family Mart convenience store before heading back to the hotel. I'm a sucker for location limited edition things, which we have a lot of in Japan, so I picked up a few Okinawa limited things for later. Even though we had just eaten a whole bowl of noodles, whenever I'm traveling I want to eat as much as possible, so I always get something to eat back at the hotel. We have these spam musubis in Family Marts in Tokyo, but this miso flavor was Okinawa limited, so I had to get it. Now on to day 2 and our first official full day in Okinawa. We started our morning by going down to the hotel breakfast area where they had a nice little complimentary buffet. It wasn't anything too fancy, but the seating area was really nice and bright, and there were also a lot of books about Okinawa that we were free to borrow and read. I was actually really excited because they had taco rice. Taco rice is another Okinawan dish with taco meat on top of white rice and tomatoes with usually lettuce or cabbage. We had a little bit of time after breakfast until we had to head to our first activity we had planned for the day, so we actually went back to Maesato Beach to see it during the day. There were a lot of chairs and parasols that the Intercontinental Hotel guests are free to use and also available for the public to pay and use as well. Since we decided not to drive on this trip, we called for a taxi to take us to our next location. We rode a lot of taxis on this trip. If you're going to Ishigaki, which does not have a train system, I highly recommend that you rent a car if you can drive. You can call a taxi, but it takes a lot of time. Anyway, we finally made it to this super hidden beach to do clear SUP. SUP, or stand-up paddling, has gotten really popular in Japan over the past few years. There are a lot of companies or tours in Okinawa where you can do SUP, but I found this company called Clear Bull online and really liked that the paddleboard was clear and they take amazing drone videos and photos for you completely free of charge. It is also a private tour, so it's just you and your group, and we actually found out that this company just started this spring and is currently being run by this one man that we met. He was our tour guide and he was super friendly and nice and easy to talk to. I was just in awe of how beautiful our surroundings were and also at the fact that we were completely alone. This beach is really out of the way and not known to tourists, so only the locals know about it. Our tour guide was really enthusiastic and sweet and took a lot of photos for us, and overall it was just such a great experience that I would definitely recommend to anyone visiting Okinawa. After we finished our SUP, we called a taxi again, which took us to the Kabira area. This area had a few gift shops and little stalls selling sweets and drinks, and it was already past noon, so we decided to head into a little dining hall for lunch. They were actually unfortunately sold out of some of the dishes since it was already around 2 p.m. So I got a meat croquette made with Ishigaki beef. For dessert, we went to this stall next door, which I had actually seen a lot of online, and since it was so extremely hot, we treated ourselves to a cold drink. My friend got a pineapple smoothie and I got a salty caramel frap. Nearby is the Kabira Bay, which we heard that we had to go see, so we headed there and we literally stopped in our tracks and just looked at each other in shock when we saw the view. It was so insanely gorgeous and the color of the water was unbelievable. And I kept repeating, why is no one here? I'm so used to seeing beaches close to Tokyo being very crowded and filled with people when it's not even that pretty. So I'm surprised that all of the beaches in Okinawa are so empty and so nice to look at. Our SUP tour guide recommended that we visit another nearby beach called Nonehara Beach, since we could rent some simple scuba gear there without having to join an expensive scuba diving tour, so we headed there next. Unfortunately, when we got there, we found out that the gear rental time had just ended a little bit before we arrived. However, the lady that was running the shop was so nice and let us borrow some goggles and refused to take our money even when we insisted. Thanks to her kindness, we got to see so many gorgeous fishes under the water. It was my first time actually scuba diving, although actually I'm not sure if this counts at all because all I did was dip my head under the water with my GoPro, but it was so fun and I'm just so thankful to the kind lady who lent us the goggles. After a while of playing and exploring in the water, we called for a taxi to take us back to the city. We went to the Yugurina Mall, which is a little shopping area where there are a lot of shops on either side selling various Okinawa souvenirs. We were window shopping since we wanted to buy souvenirs on the last day, but there were actually so many cute things that I even wanted for myself. After looking around for a while, we decided to go grab an early dinner since we realized we actually hadn't eaten a proper meal all day, and headed into an Izakaya called Nakayukui. We were lucky and actually happened to go in during the happy hour time service, so many of the dishes were very cheap. We got this fried garlic tofu, which might have been my favorite, and some beef nigiri, fried noodles, and Okinawan pork belly. Of course, we needed to get dessert, so we headed to this popular shake stand called The Shake. We had been really wanting to go here, and even at night there was a bit of a line. We both got the mango shake and a cup of mixed mini satandagi. The shake was so thick and delicious, we were amazed at how good it was. They also actually put in quite a lot more than it looked on photos, and also fruits tend to be very expensive in Japan, especially those like mango, so we were really happy to get some as a topping as well. Here we are trying the satandagi, which are Okinawan sweet deep-fried dough balls. They were freshly made and we got the mix with plain brown sugar and sweet potato flavor. And here's my friend, not even drunk, but just simply enjoying the night. Before we had to catch the last bus that would take us back to our hotel, we got another spam musubi, this time from an actual shop. They had a lot of flavors, but in order to compare to the one I got before, I got the same exact flavor, and needless to say, this one was made to order, so it was warm, and it was a lot better than the convenience store one. Alright, we are already on day 3. This morning we headed straight to the ferry terminal as we had plans to go to one of the other remote islands called Taketomi or Taketomi Island. The ferry ride itself was only about 10 minutes long, and it was a pretty smooth ride, so even my friend who tends to get seasick was fine. As soon as we arrived at the ferry port of Taketomi, we followed the crowd to go to the bike rental shops. If you're spending the day here at Taketomi, a bike is a must. It's a very small island, but the beaches and main spots are connected by these long roads, so it can be quite time-consuming and tiring if you choose to walk under the hot sun. We first went to this beach called Kaiji Beach, which is famous for its tiny little star-shaped sand. The water here as well was so clear and blue, and we couldn't wait to get into the water. It was actually quite shallow, and even far out from the shore, it was safe enough that our feet touched the ground. There weren't that many people here either. It was just us in the water, so it was really relaxing, and we also saw some more fishes here. Soon it was time for lunch, so we headed to one of the few restaurants on the island called Takenoko. I actually ended up getting the soba yet again, and of course it was really good. After we ate, we headed to the next beach, and there were a little bit more people at this Kondoi Beach since it's the most popular location on the island. But even then it wasn't that crowded. The water here was really clear, and we rented some swim rings to float around in. After a while we could feel our terrible sunburn coming on, and decided to get out and headed to a cafe that someone had actually recommended me called Chirori Mura. I am not exaggerating when I say that this was the best fresh mango smoothie I have ever had in my entire life. I normally wouldn't pay 1,000 yen for a smoothie, but this was 100% worth it. Soon it was almost time to return our bikes, So we went back to the rental shop and they took us to the ferry port, which also had a little gift shop. If you have half a day, you can definitely come and enjoy Taketomi Island. It was so nice and relaxing, and I definitely recommend visiting if you have the chance. After we got back to Ishigaki-jima, we headed to another recommendation I heard, which is an ice cream shop called Miru Miru Honpo. This view outside was so stunning. You could sit out here and just look out onto the field while you enjoy your ice cream. There was also a small gift shop next to the ice cream store, and we picked up an aloe face mask for our red sunburns to do at the hotel, and my friend and I also picked out these beautiful natural Ishigaki pearl rings. We decided to take a long walk around the island and through the residential areas to get to our dinner location. I saw this garlic shrimp shop online and thought that we had to go. We got the smallest size, but it was actually super filling and so delicious. We wanted to catch the sunset, so we took our garlic shrimp to go to finish later and went to a beach called Fusaki Beach. It's also connected to a different resort but open to the public, so we spent our evening there. I hadn't taken the time to watch the sunset in a long time, and it was actually really relaxing. Once it got dark, it wasn't too late yet, so we both chilled at the beachside bar of the resort with some mocktails before going back and turning in for the night. Before we knew it, it was already our last day, but our flight was in the evening, so we wanted to make the most of it. We decided that we wanted to get our souvenir shopping out of the way and picked up a few things for friends and family before hitting up another smoothie shop called Mango Farm Kitchen. They had a lot of things on their menu, but we got the Ishigaki tropical smoothie, and it was super refreshing as it was another crazy hot day. I don't think I've emphasized enough just how hot this entire trip was. For lunch, we headed to a cafe called Nobare Cafe. It was quite a spacious cafe, and there was indoor seating as well, but look at this view. Of course we needed to sit outside. And of course, what did we get for lunch? We got noodles yet again, because when will I ever get to eat noodles with this as my view again? We also got a papapa smoothie, which we found out means a papaya and pineapple smoothie. Earlier this day, we called for a taxi and ended up getting picked up by the same taxi driver who had driven us 2 days ago, and he remembered us. He was so nice and offered to take us around to the spots we wanted to visit on our last day, because a lot of them were actually in places where it's very hard to catch a taxi passing by. He took us to the Ishigaki-jima Sabichi Cave, which my friend and I both were really excited to go to since we like limestone caves. It was a nice change of scenery and also a welcome, cool and shady walk. We actually wanted to visit this cave specifically because it apparently is the only cave in Japan that leads out to the sea. Again, we were surprised that we were quite literally the only ones here, and we had our own little beach to ourselves. But our taxi driver was actually kind enough to be waiting for us outside of the cave without even keeping the meter running. So we didn't want to make him wait too long, so we left after a few minutes. Afterwards, we thought we would head to the airport a little bit early since we felt bad having him drive us around, but he even kindly took us to another view spot on the way and waited for us again. We didn't stay too long and got him some cold tea as a thank you, and he opened up a bit more and chatted to us about his family on the way to the airport. We reached the Ishigaki airport around 5 and finished up the last of our souvenir shopping before grabbing our last quick meal in Okinawa and then headed back to Tokyo. Thank you all so much for watching this long vlog. I hope you enjoyed and got a glimpse into what Ishigaki in Okinawa looks like. Let me know if you have ever been or what you'd like to try if you visit, and I will see you again soon with my next video.